You got Georgia and Clemson in Atlanta, which I want to talk about right now. The early line is Georgia minus 12.5. We'll see if that line moves at all before we get to week one. But regardless, man, two massive brands and two teams that I think have obviously everything to play for in week one. But there's a lot to unpack here when it comes to the storylines heading into this season for both teams and in this game being played at a neutral site in Atlanta. So before we break it down, make sure you're subscribed. As I mentioned before, it's college football year round. We want y'all a part of it. This is a college football exclusive show. We don't talk college basketball. We don't talk, I'm trying to think of other sports. Baseball. We don't talk NBA. Like, this is college football and only college football all year round. So if you are a college football junkie, this is the show for you. This is the channel for you. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate you so much for that. For Georgia, man, in this game to start the year, I can't help but feel like this season for Georgia is a bit of a mission. Like last year, I think they probably had the best team in college football. They didn't stay healthy. They didn't win the game they needed to win in Atlanta to win the SEC and get to the college football playoff. And I think they understand the opportunity they missed last year. You've heard Tate Ratliff talk about it on his podcast, the offensive lineman for Georgia, say like, hey, we probably should have won it last year. Didn't get it done. It is what it is. I think they're extra motivation for them because they're not coming into this season with the crown on their head of we just won the national championship like they were the last 2 years. I think they're coming out with something to prove, and I'm excited to see how that translates to the field in week one. Now for Clemson, think about the opportunity that Clemson has in this game. You got a team rolling in here that's won 2 of the last 3 national titles. You're playing this game in Atlanta, so there's going to be, I think, a good amount of Clemson fans there. You better believe there's going to be a lot of Georgia Bulldog fans there. They have a chance to make a statement nationally that we are still a player in college football when you look at the national picture. Have things been how we want them to be the last couple of years? No. Have we underachieved based on our fan base's standards and our standards internally if we're Dabo Swinney? Yeah, absolutely. But even with that being said, you go out and slay the dragon week one and send a message to the entire college football public that we are definitely not going anywhere. Took a couple of steps back last year, but we're here. Like, the message that they can send to everyone, I think, is absolutely massive, and I'm excited to watch what it looks like and excited to see if they do it in this game. Clemson generating offense, and this one is going to be absolutely massive and going to be paramount to the outcome of this game. And that sounds sort of simplistic, but I mean for Clemson from a gameplay standpoint, I'm looking at Cade Klubnik and how much he's able to do. Because last year for Cade Klubnik, you felt like there were times where he was still trying to get up to speed as being a college quarterback. How much is he able to do when it doesn't have the exact right X's and O's line up for Clemson? Personnel-wise for Clemson, they're going to be at a disadvantage. How much extra is Cade Klubnik able to do? Because as good as Georgia is from a roster level, there's a lot of new cats playing in this game for Georgia. They bring back 55% of the production from last year's team defensively, do the Bulldogs. So Cade Klubnik now, what we know about his game, man, he's got a little bit of wiggle to him. He's a dual-threat quarterback. If you don't play assignment-sound football, he is going to make you pay. And so how much he's able to do in that department, I think, is going to have a massive impact on the early part of this game and the tempo Clemson is able to play at. And I think in a game like this, you got to have a mobile quarterback to win it if you're Clemson. Like, you need to see Cade Klubnik show off the wheels a little bit. 2 guys that I'm watching here on the perimeter for Clemson offensively, Tyler Brown, TJ Moore. TJ Moore is a true freshman. I expect him to be an impact guy as well. We'll probably talk about Tyler Brown. I think you saw at different points last year really flash for them. This, to me, is the missing ingredient for Clemson the last couple of seasons. They have lacked someone to make you pay in the pass game deep. You've had a lot of guys that can go win the jump ball for you, had a lot of big body guys, but someone who can really make you pay if your safety gets the wrong read on the run game, or if your linebackers are worried too much about Cade Klubnik running for a first down on 3rd and 6, and being able to look downfield and see one of those guys win their matchup, get behind the secondary, and make you pay. That's the thing that has to happen for Clemson in this game. One of those guys or both those guys in a perfect world have to be able to show up in a big way. Now, TJ Moore, we'll see what his role is when we get closer to the season, but I'm telling you, Tyler Brown, going to be a guy for them this season, has to be a guy for them in this game to get it done. Now, in a perfect world, Clemson will be able to kind of run the football against Georgia's front 7. I think that's a lot better idea on paper than it might be in practice when it comes to actually playing this game. So keep an eye on that, but Cade Klubnik will will be asked to do more than what's been required of them in the past to win this game for Clemson against Georgia. Now, for Georgia, a lot of it, I think, is going to start with that pound the rock approach. It's going to be all about running the football for them in that backfield. And I think Clemson historically has been phenomenal on the defensive line. Peter Woods is an absolute stud, so they'll have their work cut out for them to a degree with that kind of personnel up front. But, like, if you're able to have some success running the football early for Georgia, I'm talking 3 yards a pop, 4 yards a pop, you do a couple of things. First, you control the tempo of the game, and you're able to kind of shorten the game, first off. And second of all, you simplify the game plan that Clemson is able to play against you. Because, listen, if you're Clemson, you got to swing big, and we'll talk about that here in a second defensively. You got to swing big. You got to be aggressive defensively. You got to blitz the safeties, the corners. But if we're just getting pounded and pounded and pounded with this run game of Georgia, you got to be honest defensively. You got to put extra in the box. You got to make sure that you're committing the right resources to stopping the run. And if you can't do that, and you have to keep on selling out to stop the run, then you set up Carson Beck for some explosive plays downfield. And the early returns out of spring ball for the good folks in Athens, Georgia, is they love what they've got in Colby Young. I think London Humphrey is going to be a dude for you. You know, he's got real deal speed, the transfer from Vanderbilt. Carson Beck and what he didn't do last year, there wasn't a lot he didn't do last year outside of win the SEC. Statistically, completed over 70% of his passes. He was really efficient with the football, but the Georgia fans, they wanted to see him just kind of unhitch the wagon a little bit, kind of uncork it downfield a little bit more for Carson Beck. And so if that run game gets going, you set up play action, you set up those deep shots that all the folks in Athens want to see. So we'll see what happens there, but it all starts up front for Georgia with pounding the rock, setting the tempo, and softening up that Clemson defense. Now for Clemson, man, I mean, there's no secret here. The line is what it is for a reason. Georgia, from a talent level, has more dudes than Clemson, and that's not speaking ill of Clemson. I think Georgia just has the best roster in college football right now. And that's why you see them favored the way they are in Vegas right now to win the national championship. If Clemson's going to win this game, it is absolutely crucial that they are the aggressor, and they're the aggressor early in Atlanta. You don't wade into the water with the great white shark and find a way to win that battle. You don't just tread water and kind of stay afloat and see how things go. Like, you got to go punch that thing in the nose. I'm talking about dialing up blitzes from that second and third level. I'm talking about trick plays. I'm talking about fake punts. I'm talking about deep shots. Like, you got to put the pressure on Georgia, because if you try and play them straight up, even playing field, mano-a-mano, our guys versus your guys, then you're going to end up falling short. And so Clemson, as good a roster as they have, they don't have as good a roster as Georgia, and it's going to take a little bit extra from them. That's why I talk about Cade Klubnik. That's why I think he needs to really make sure he brings the juice with his legs. Going back to that point, the reason why I'm so heavily harping on Cade Klubnik being a dual-threat quarterback in this game is because when you have a dual-threat quarterback, you sort of throw a bit of a mystery sauce into this whole game. Because I think Georgia, given what we know about Kirby Smart and how he is involved on the defensive side of the ball and what Glenn Schumann brings and T-Rob, like, they're going to have a really good game plan set up. And so when you have a mobile quarterback, the reality is that can kind of be your answer to a perfect game plan. Like, if we got the perfect blitz dialed up from that third level and we got the look we want and we got a free hitter coming at you and Cade Klubnik just makes that dude miss, well, hey, we got a new play then. Broken play, schoolyard football. We got our guys ad-libbing. Cade Klubnik's running right, throwing left. Like, he has to have plays like that to get Georgia off balance. Has to happen. Has to happen. But even with that being said, we'll pick this game when it gets here. Obviously, we'll break it down even more. The early lean right now, no surprise here with the line, is towards Georgia. But I'll tell you what, man, a lot can happen, especially in week one. Cade Klubnik, if he takes another leap in this Garrett Riley coached offense, it could be a difference maker, and I cannot wait to watch it. But regardless, right now, early lean towards the Dogs. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.